Jarule versus Fat Joe. I want to give my opinion on that Verzuz battle that happened a little over a week ago. I know I'm a little late to the party, but I wanted to give my opinion on the Verzuz battle. Before I give my opinion on the Verzuz battle, I just want to for the people in the comment section, on my last video, I had some people that made it as if like I ain't understand who Fat Joe was, or like I ain't know what kind of work that Fat Joe put in. Like I'm unseasoned or something. Like like I don't understand what's going on. Like I was trying to favor Jarule. If you really watch the video and you see it, exactly what I said. I mentioned that Fat Joe was my favorite rapper growing up a lot of times. But still was a fan of Jarule. So I wasn't downplaying Fat Joe. I knew exactly the opponent that we got. I knew exactly who we was dealing with. Now, with that out the way, we did want Jarule versus 50. That wasn't a parody, with me doing that. Like, that's just an obvious that, that most of the fans know already. We just feel like a battle, would be more interesting with a situation that got history to it already. A situation that had animosity already. An actual event that actually happened in hip hop. I was just saying to myself last week, and it's my opinion. People ain't got to do what I want them to do. It's just how I feel. I was just saying how I think Verzuz, they should really look into, not having people battle that's real cool with each other. And not saying nothing is wrong with that. Because we want everybody, to be cool and everybody, to really, kick it with each other. But I just feel like it make the Verzuz more interesting when guys really got real history, or when guys really, they really competitive against each other. I just think it bodes well for the Verzuz. So Fat Joe, he started out, I want to say he went back to Joey Crack. Joe Crack the Don. He was in that terror squad, that Joe Crack the Don apparel. Came ready for war. Jarule just had on, I want to say just like a black t-shirt, which that was cool too. It seemed like they wasn't on that, they wasn't on that superstar shit, or they wasn't dressing according to the success of their careers. They was dressing for battle. So I really enjoyed that. One of the things that I didn't like about the Verzuz is I felt like with Jarule and Fat Joe, with them being good friends, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Fat Joe threw a lot of shots at Jarule. Or I call it, he tried to 50 Jarule. I felt like he tried to lure boy Jarule. He'd have certain records come on and he'd be like, I know you wasn't outside when this came on. I know you wasn't. And just kept on trying to insinuate on how Jarule wasn't that kind of guy. But kept saying, oh, you my brother though. You my brother though. I didn't like that about the battle. I think Jarule stood his ground though. If I could talk about one of the a record that I really enjoyed that Fat Joe played was, I really liked when he played Lifestyle. Like, young man, I live my lifestyle. Never seen a brick, never seen a crack house. I can't tell you how many times I played that song. I can't tell you how many times my mother had to tell me to turn the radio off because she ain't want to hear that mess. So I really enjoyed, that record. I think that was from off of Jealous One Still Envy, I believe. But that was a dope record. And that's pretty much the kind of records that Fat Joe was doing. You know, for big fans of Fat Joe, or for somebody who really not a fan of Fat Joe was always real big on dope lyricism, dope lyrics, having those gritty, grimy type of beats, you know, and spitting crack on beats. That's what Joe Crack do. That's what Joe Crack do. Not to say he don't do the lady records, but that's what Fat Joe do. So I feel like that was more of his style and more of his strategy for the verses. It was all about, oh, I'm gonna keep beating you with these hard records, and I'm gonna basically tell these people how you not like that. You know, he even mentioned, you know, one of the records he did, and he was like, oh, I did that beat for 50, or or something like that. And so that was a part of his strategy. He already felt the fans was looking at Jarule a certain type of way, so it's kind of like he played into that. With that being said, I think Jarule still held it down. He held his own. He kept telling Fat Joe, he said, "You gonna get these hits, nigga." He said, "You gonna get these hits." And then Fat Joe just kept saying, "Yesterday hits is not today's hits." And then Ja was just like, "But yesterday's hits is classics. Yesterday's hits is classics." And he absolutely right. You think those big records that these rappers make, they continuously eat and they tore off of the classic records. You know what I mean? Them new records don't, they're not working like that early. And then with them and the era they came from, you ain't gonna get a new record that popped like that. Now I know Joe had, certain records like All the Way Up and, records like that really did real well, but how often is that gonna happen? So I felt like, I really like what Ja Rule said with certain songs as classics. When it comes to features, I want to say Fat Joe brought the first feature out when he brought Remy Ma out, and she absolutely killed it. He had her kind of do, one of her records, and he actually had her go out there and spit a pun verse. So Terror Squad was definitely representing. I remember Remy used to always say, "You compare me to females, I'm better than most dudes." So that's what you get when you get in Remy Ma. You got a classic artist and one of the best women rappers that ever did it. So shout out to Fat Joe for bringing us Remy Ma. Now, you knew it was only a matter of time before Ja Rule brought his features out. He wasn't fooling nobody. When Remy came out, he was like, "Yeah, your sister's saving you. Your sister's saving you." And I'm just thinking in my head, like, nigga, we know Ashanti here. Looking fine and everything. We know she back there. So he brought Ashanti out and, they did some of their biggest records, like Mesmerize and Always on Time and a couple other records that was real dope. Whenever Ja Rule and Ashanti get together, that's that Murder Inc. magic right there. That's Bonnie and Clyde right there. It's not a lot of duels, male and female, where the male is rapping and the woman is singing, where it's, as influential as Ja Rule and Ashanti. He also brought out Vita and Lil Mo, which shout out to Vita. You know, I seen it and I was just like, man, Vita looking real good. You know, skin glowing, body looking right. She was killing the performance. And it was unexpected. Nobody ain't know Vita was going to come out. And Lil Mo, you know, big shout out to Lil Mo. That's my Baltimore family right there. That's Baltimore fam. You know, so Lil Mo always was looked at as, you know, one of the realest in the game, just when it come to women being realistic in her music. You know, and then actually feeling her. You know, people feeling what kind of person she was, or, you know, and what she represented. You know, because we look at Lil Mo like she represent the struggle. And she always been a phenomenal singer. You know, there's a lot of artists that sold a lot of records that they don't have a voice like Lil Mo. So shout out to Jarule for putting Lil Mo on and for putting Vita on the record. It was real dope. Now, there was some controversy surrounding that part a little bit, with somebody was saying Fat Joe was like, yo, what you got them dusty bees in the back for? What you got them dusty bees in the back for? You know, without saying it, you know, because we respect our women over here. But I know they got some flack from that. You know, so maybe that's something that, you know, they can actually have a conversation about and clean that up. You know, but it just, I feel like that was one of those things that he was pulling just to, sometimes you got to pull them wrestling moves out, man. You got to get your WWE on. Because we know Crack a respectable guy, but I guess he like, you know, this is an element that I'm going to add to the verses. You know, so that was that. So it was a really good verses. I really enjoyed it. I would have really enjoyed it even more if it was Ja and 50, like I've been boasting about, but we still got two legends on the card. You know, and I was appreciative for it. I really did, you know, I still did like it. So good job, Verzuz. We just wish it was Ja and 50. And that's it. That was my review on Fat Joe and Jarule Verzuz. And if y'all can give y'all opinion on how did y'all feel about the verses. Was it what y'all expected it to be? Did y'all want it to be against 50 and you were disappointed, or did you want to see somebody else? Y'all leave it down in the comment section for me. And I appreciate y'all. Peace.